Not this one, sir, not this one. Another one is there. I might change. Yeah. I need a board, writing board. Great. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So in the previous session we were talking about the environmental degradation on a short-term basis, which was named as pollution. And we have various types of pollutions as we discussed earlier. We have something called as the atmospheric pollution, which is also called as the air pollution. And we also have something called as water pollution, and we have the soil pollution. And apart from that, we have some other components like we have the noise pollution, which is part and parcel of the air pollution as well. And then part and parcel of soil pollution will have something called as the solid waste, and along with that we have something called as the plastic waste and the e-waste. So all these things would be associated with soil pollution as well. Apart from that, we have one rare type of pollution called as the radioactive pollution or radioactive contamination we call, and also associated with something called as the thermal pollution. So these are the aspects which we need to discuss under the heading of pollution per se. So in that process, we were talking about something called as atmospheric pollution or air pollution in the previous session. Atmospheric pollution, which is also called as air pollution. And we discussed about the sources and causes of air pollution earlier, if you remember. Largely the sources and the causes, in a sense the pollutants. So the sources we mentioned as number one is what? The combustion activity, the fossil fuels, the combustion, whatever is burnt, so would cause air pollution. Whatever you burn, for example, you burst crackers during Diwali or Deepavali, you burst crackers, it causes air pollution. Now the question comes whether we should follow the law or you should follow your religion or culture. What would take the precedence? And people will start arguing. Our religion is great, our culture is great, that should be the priority on one hand. Law and equality before law and protection of the environment will be on the other side. Now which is superior, which is right? Now there would be an ethical dilemma there, and as a civil servant you have to take a decision, yes or no, whether to stop people from bursting crackers on Deepavali or ignore the law for few hours. What is right? Who is right? Now you will be in that situation. Now think about it, because nothing is right always and nothing is wrong always, and nothing is right for all people, nothing is wrong for all people, yes and no. Now that is where you would play a role as a civil servant, and your decision matters to many. Getting back here, so for example, you look at around last winter, that means around 4-5 months ago, during November we had the Deepavali festival, and in Delhi the pollution, air pollution levels crossed the safe limit and they entered into very poor category and severe category. Severe means more than 400 points. It became hazardous and people could not breathe the air, and they were choking and coughing and lot of infections, and then that is exacerbated by bursting of crackers for Deepavali, and that was coupled with traffic, the vehicular pollution, industrial, and then stubble burning from Haryana and Punjab. All these put together at winter season, and then trapping of the smoke within the lower atmosphere. All those things put together caused air pollution in Delhi, and still Delhi is reeling under air pollution and is one of the most polluted cities in the world. Now who is responsible and who is not? Each and every person is responsible to some extent. Now nobody can say that I am not responsible, you cannot escape it. Now you are also responsible, whether directly or indirectly. Okay, so getting back here, so combustion activity, for example, waste burning. Some people assume that easy and cheap method of disposing waste is burning it openly. You see, even in Bangalore also, in villages also, Karnataka villages also, people will be collecting dry leaves, papers, waste, even plastic also, and they will burn it. They would assume that it is a cheap, quick method of disposing waste, but that is the most unsafe method of disposing waste. It pollutes the environment. Now who cares? Who knows? And who implements it? So when different people, multiple people across the country do the same thing, eventually India becomes a polluted country and we will contribute to the global air pollution, local and global. Now who cares? That is what is happening here. So education is different, literacy is slightly different, and civic sense is completely different in general. So getting back here, waste disposal methods also are responsible for it. Industrial activities, they release smoke into the air, they are also responsible. Automobiles, responsible for it. Thermal power plants, please remember India, more than 67% of thermal power plants are coal fired, coal based thermal power plants. So all these things, and in rural India, cooking activities are based on the wood, burning of wood and the cow dung cakes, which also release a lot of smoke and they cause pollution. So these are sources, and one of the causes are pollutants per se. As we mentioned earlier, the oxides of carbon in the form of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen in the form of nitric oxide, nitrogen monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxides of sulfur in the form of sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Apart from this, we have the ground level or tropospheric ozone, we have the chlorofluorocarbons, we have the lead as well. In general, these are the most common pollutants which are gases. Apart from that, we have liquid pollutants in the form of aerosols and solid pollutants in the form of particulate matter of 10 micrometers and also of 2.5 micrometers, that is PM10, PM2.5. Apart from that, we have something called as the fly ash, soot, black carbon, brown carbon and dust. Solid, liquid, aerosols, spray, paints, pesticides, insecticides, perfumes, deodorants. So all these activities, and then these largely released by automobiles, industries on large scale. So in yesterday's class we discussed about carbon oxides of carbon, oxides of nitrogen, and how oxides of nitrogen would cause something called as photochemical smog or Los Angeles smog. And now we will be talking about oxides of sulfur. So oxides of sulfur are released in the form of what? Naturally, through volcanic activities, naturally in general, and whenever there is forest fire or wildfire, we say in the forest we have fires, and because of human activities, that is burning of coal, burning of wood, in general we get lot of oxides of sulfur. And also industrial activities, which industry releases lot of sulfur or uses lot of sulfur? Rubber industries use lot of sulfur in general. So these activities release oxides of sulfur, especially sulfur dioxide, because sulfur is natural ingredient of coal which is extracted from the earth's crust, and we know that more than 67% of India's installed power generation capacity is generated by coal fired thermal power plants. And we burn lot of coal on regular basis in general. Though we have various types of coal, what kind of coal we have? Peat, we have bituminous, we have the lignite and anthracite. Anthracite is high quality coal with low ash content and low smoke, but we don't have reserves of anthracite in India. Yes, so anyways, lignite, it comes from Tamil Nadu, Neyveli Lignite Corporation Limited, and bituminous is popular in India because you see Gondwana coal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. Which kind of coal do we have there? Bituminous and lignite, a mixture of Gondwana, very old. Yes, and peat is just a moisture rich semi decomposing organic matter which is in a transformational stage to become bituminous and lignite. So getting back here, sulfur dioxide and sulfur dioxide, they form the oleum mist first. What is oleum mist? Yellow colored, oily, mist kind of smoke, thick smoke in the air when it is released, and eventually this forms the sulfuric acid mist, and this is yellow in color and strong pungent odor. When this smoke, yellow smoke, combines with fog, it forms smog. What kind of smog this would form? The sulfur oxides when they combine with fog, they form a thick smoke and fog together called as smog. This smog is for the first time observed in London, hence it is considered as what? London smog. It is also called as yellow smog, also called as classic smog, also called as pea soup smog, also called as winter smog, because it is yellowish in color. Why it is called as pea soup? Because yellowish smoke will have black carbon soot. What is soot? What do you mean by soot? Soot is a black satin soft powdery residue which remains deposited on the inner walls of any pipe or channel or a chimney under which combustion or burning of wood or the charcoal would happen. What do you call that in Kannada? Massi, is it? Massi, yes. Very soft black colored soft powder, satin soft powder. Very harmful if you inhale it. But many people don't care. And if they get some disease, then doctor will tell them. Yes. So in general, this black carbon soot remains suspended in yellow colored smoky, thick smoky background. Hence it got its name pea soup smog. It is difficult for you to guess. Guesswork will not help you. Pea soup is associated with which of the following type of pollution? Pea soup. Unless you know what is pea soup, you cannot answer that question. Yes and no. So it was observed in London and it caused a lot of health issues to a lot of people. Hence it is London smog. So by very early, from 13th century till 17th century, many people in Europe, they used to burn a lot of coal and they used to burn a lot of wood for domestic heating, because they are temperate countries and they never had access to electricity till 17th century, much of electricity. So there were no electrical heaters and they used coal and wood for heating purposes. So almost all households used coal and wood. That released lot of sulfurous smoke, and that resulted in smog. So it is a very old method of producing heat. Hence it is called as classic smog. Pea soup smog, yellow because sulfurous acid and sulfuric acid give yellowish tinge to the smoke. Hence it is yellow smog, and preferably this occurs during winter seasons to produce heat, domestic heating. Hence it is also called as winter smog. To the contrary, in the previous session we discussed about the photochemical smog produced by oxides of nitrogen. Did we talk about that? Yes or no? So when these combine with fog, we have peroxyacetyl nitrate, ground level ozone, and these combine with fog, this would form photochemical smog. This we referred as Los Angeles smog and we named it as brown smog or summer smog. To the contrary, this is classic smog, London smog and winter smog. Photochemical smog is summer smog. London smog is winter smog. Photochemical smog is formed because of oxides of nitrogen, whereas London smog is formed because of oxides of sulfur. So understand the fundamental difference should there be a question. Yes. So it is about oxides of sulfur in general, and then we have next pollutant is ground level ozone. Ground level ozone is produced, as we mentioned earlier, that when oxides of nitrogen combine with volatile organic compounds and hydrocarbons. When this happens, when ultraviolet radiation catalyzes this reaction, there is formation of peroxyacetyl nitrate and ground level ozone. Please remember, ozone is supposed to be in stratosphere. How do you think stratospheric ozone forms? Through Chapman's cycle. Chapman's cycle, you must have studied about this. These are supposed to be revision classes. You are supposed to have some basic idea how stratospheric ozone forms. How stratospheric ozone forms? Chapman cycle. What is Chapman cycle? Near tropopause, there is availability of oxygen. This oxygen will be acted upon by sunlight, results in the formation of nascent oxygen. What is nascent oxygen? Single oxygen molecule, not diatomic oxygen, single oxygen molecule, which is highly unstable and reactive, called as nascent oxygen. And this nascent oxygen combines with diatomic oxygen under the influence of ultraviolet and forms ozone. Beyond tropopause, what do we have? We have stratosphere. That is where this ozone gets accumulated. How do you measure the thickness of ozone in the stratosphere? Through Dobson units. Studied about them? The thickness is supposed to be more than 300 Dobson units. Only then it can filter out ultraviolet radiations from sunlight and protect the troposphere and all the living organisms from the harmful effects of ultraviolet. Now what's happening? The thickness of ozone is decreasing. Where? In Antarctica. Why? Because of chlorofluorocarbons, chlorinated biphenyls and polychlorinated dibenzofurans. These substances are ozone layer depleting substances. How do they act? Especially the so-called halogens, halocarbons we call them as. We will talk about that in climate change, but still, yes, here it is present. So, what are halocarbons or halogens? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. Studied about them? So, chlorine, bromine, fluorine compounds, they react with ozone. So, it is said that under Montreal Protocol, it is said that one chlorine molecule when combines with one ozone, it forms chlorine monoxide. And this chlorine monoxide combines with ozone under the influence of ultraviolet, forms 2O2 and free chlorine. Chlorine is free again to combine and destroy another ozone. And Montreal Protocol says that one chlorine molecule in its lifetime destroys 100,000 ozone molecules. During the lifetime, one chlorine molecule would destroy 1 lakh ozone molecules. One chlorine. And you can imagine the scale of destruction. Okay. So, that is why we should not use the halocarbon compounds. Why do we use halocarbon compounds usually? For refrigeration purposes, as refrigerants, coolants, AC uses halocarbons, chlorofluorocarbons, chlorobromocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, yes, and we use them for refrigeration, cooling and as coolants and also as industrial thinning agents and solvents of paints. turpentine. Yes, you must have heard about. They also have halocarbons. Okay, so in stratosphere, ozone is good. Yes or no? Stratospheric ozone is good because it would consume ultraviolet radiations and filter the sunlight and thus protects the life forms on the ground, because ultraviolet radiations are, some of them are ionizing in nature, they cause cancers, they cause plant death in animals and plants. Ultraviolet radiations are harmful, and this stratospheric ozone filters that ultraviolet and we are protected. So stratospheric ozone is good. But now what is the issue? We are talking about ground level ozone, and ground level ozone is considered as pollution. Ground level ozone is a pollutant. How? Because this is ground level ozone is oxidative molecule, generates oxidative stress. You know, oxidative stress is a major reason for cancers, is a major reason for early signs of aging, and is a major sign of mitochondrial mutations in living organisms, especially oxidative stress. You must have studied about free radicals and antioxidants and all. Free radicals are reasons for cancers, you must have studied. Oxidative stress is equivalent to free radical encountered by the tissues, and more your body experiences free radical or oxidative stress, more likely that you will get cancers. And to counter the activity of free radicals and oxidative stress, you have to consume antioxidants. Where do you get antioxidants naturally? In plant products, fruits, vegetables, you get antioxidants. Yes or no? Even if you go to hospital with a diagnosed cancer, doctors will give you what treatment first? Antioxidants they will give you, apart from chemotherapy. Antioxidants. So plant products largely. Yes. So ground level ozone, oxidizing agent, it destabilizes membranes. Destabilizes membranes. And ground level ozone is asphyxiant. What is asphyxiant? It causes choking, so breathing difficulty. People, that is humans and animals, will find breathing difficulty, and also it causes respiratory problems. It is an irritant. Ground level ozone is an irritant. It causes burning sensation in the eyes, skin and mucous membranes. Ground level ozone in general affects the chlorophyll of plant leaves. Chlorophyll gets destroyed, because of which plant leaves turn pale, because chlorophyll is responsible for photosynthesis. If chlorophyll in plant leaves is destroyed because of ozone, plant leaves turn pale, they cannot perform photosynthesis and plants eventually die. You will understand this. Ground level ozone also is responsible for cracking of rubber. Cracking of rubber. Which products, which equipment is made of rubber? Fuel tank seal, washers, sealing and tires, vehicular tires, all those will be cracked. That means they develop cracks, and durability and functionality of those structures will be lost. Cracking of rubber. And this, when plant leaves turn pale, it is called as what? Silvering of leaf surface. And destruction of chlorophyll is also called as chlorosis. chlorosis of leaves. What is chlorosis? Destruction of chlorophyll in plant leaves because of ground level ozone. And you know now how ground level ozone forms, yes and no. When oxides of nitrogen react with the volatile organic compounds and hydrocarbons, you have peroxide acetyl nitrate and ground level ozone. Are you able to understand my words? Yes or no? You are trying to correlate these things. You are about to write UPSC Civil Service Preliminary Examination, and is one of the most tricky, challenging, and I don't say tough or impossible, I don't use such words, but it is of very high standard national level exam. Entire India is competing against you. You can imagine the standards of questions asked in that exam. If you feel that your standards are not sufficient or not matching, please work harder and raise your standards. You have to understand this, because there is no other way, because UPSC will not decrease its standards. The only way to conquer, to crack that exam is to raise your standards, and you have to really work very hard for that. You get it? And every year competition is becoming intense and the questions are becoming tougher and more complex and more standardized. So every year you have to work harder than the previous year. 15 lakh people are applying, 1.5 million people are applying. Every Indian graduate want to become an IAS in India now. You also want to become one, yes and no? Then how should UPSC ensure that you deserve to be an IAS, yes and no? So prove that you deserve to be an IAS. Why should they give you that IAS service? Why not to somebody else? Are you competent enough? You know better about yourself, yes or no? Hard work is mandatory. Add some smart work to it. You may clear the prelims. 55% of marks, you are through prelims. Clear? 55%. Safe. Not 100%. You will understand this. But again, easier said than done. You get the point, right? Okay. So ground level ozone is a pollutant here. And next we will be talking about what? Lead. Please remember, lead primarily enters as air pollutant because of the petrol. So till the year 2000 in India we had leaded petrol. After the year 2000 in India, unleaded petrol was being sold. You have to understand this. So prior to the year 2000, petrol had lead in it, especially in the form of what? Tetraethyl lead. It is called as tetraethyl lead. Why lead was added to petrol? To prevent an action in the engine called as knocking, and tetraethyl lead was used as anti-knock agent. It was a previous UPSC question. Tetraethyl lead is considered as anti-knock agent. What is knocking? Because of low quality fuel, because of irregular incomplete combustion of the fuel, low quality fuel, engine used to experience some struggle to continuously to stay on and perform. So in between the engine used to give jerks. People used to call it as knocking, and lot of vibration in the engine, and performance was not smooth. You get it? So that activity was called as a knocking because of low quality fuel. To prevent that knocking and to ensure smooth running of the engine, tetraethyl lead was added to petrol and it was called as anti-knock agent till the year 2000. But this lead, after combustion in the internal combustion engine of vehicles, was released into the air as a pollutant, and lead is a toxic heavy metal. It gets accumulated in the lungs in the kidneys and also in the brain, especially of young children. And if young children get this lead accumulated, they will have learning difficulty, communication difficulty, focus concentration difficulties, and their brain growth and development will be slow. And they will not be having required IQ. Delayed developmental milestones, especially the intellectual function will be impaired. And lung cancers and all, they are pretty common. So, such toxic substance, to prevent its availability, from the year 2000, Government of India brought strict emission regulation norms, and they started supplying unleaded petrol. That means they increased the quality of the petrol without having the need to add tetraethyl lead as anti-knock agent. So, we had two questions from this earlier, previous questions. Get it? Okay. Lead. So, it accumulates in the lungs, in the kidneys, and also in the brain of especially young children, causing intellectual impairment. In general, yes. So, this is one aspect here. So, these are some kind of pollutants we are talking about, gaseous pollutants. Apart from that, we will be talking about what? The liquid pollutants, and liquid pollutants in general are considered as what? Aerosols. Aerosols are nothing but fine small droplets of liquids. What kind of liquids? As we mentioned earlier, the pesticides, the fuels in general, and then the perfumes or the deodorants. So, all these activities which are harmful substances, and they remain suspended in the air, and they are carried by the wind from one place to another place. And of course, apart from that, microorganisms also, and also dust and pollen also, pollen and dust also. But we are focusing on only the liquids here, that is why we did not mention about them. So, they remain suspended in the air because they are so small and they are lighter than air, smaller than air particles, suspended in the air, and they are carried from one place to another place, and they can cause irritation of eyes, skin and other mucous membranes, and they can get deposited in the lungs and cause diseases like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease COPD and emphysema, and also the fibrosis. So, these are some aspects of aerosols here in general, and apart from that we have certain solid air pollutants. So, example of solid air pollutants are in general the fly ash. Fly ash is the non-combustible inorganic residue which is left after coal combustion or the burning of any organic debris. Fly ash, soot, dust, because of lot of activities like construction, demolition activities, a lot of dust here. Apart from that, we have pollen from plants. In general, it is an allergen. Yes. Apart from that, we have certain mineral particles. So, they are so small that they often are termed as suspended. They are very small, hence they are called as particulates matter, and their size is measured in terms of micrometers, and often very common air polluting solid suspended particulate matter is categorized under particulate matter 10 of 10 micrometers and particulate matter 2.5 of 2.5 micrometers. PM 2.5 is considered as more harmful because it is also called as respirable. suspended particulate matter, RSPM. Because it is so small, of the size of 2.5 micrometers, we can easily inhale, and those particles can directly get lodged in the alveoli. Alveoli are small balloon-like sacs present inside the lungs, which communicate with capillaries, that is blood vessels, and they are responsible for exchange of gases between the air in the lungs and blood vessels. You understand this? Alveolar spaces, and inside the alveolar spaces, if such RSPM gets deposited, mucus will get deposited around them, and alveolar space becomes a dead space. It cannot participate in gaseous exchange, and that mucus becomes the bed for bacterial growth, and you get lung infections like pneumonia, very common. Yes, hence it is harmful. And based on this, we have a category of diseases from which we had two questions earlier as civil service preliminary previous year questions. What are they? They are also categorized as occupational lung diseases, also called as occupational lung diseases, OLD. First question was based on the term pneumoconiosis, also called as black lung disease. Previous year question, please. Yes, this is inhalation of fine coal or carbon dust, which usually is inhaled by coal mine workers, people who work in coal mines. They go for demolition of coal rocks, coal ore, and taking them outside the mine and sending them for thermal power plants. Yes, coal mines are called as collier. Colliery is coal mine, colliery. Coal mine worker is called as a collier. Hence it is also called as collier's asthma. Who is a collier? Collier is a coal mine worker. Colliery is coal mine. Mine means some industrial activity. Yes, of course mining is now a primary sector activity, isn't it? Yes. Okay, so this is because of constant inhalation of fine coal dust or carbon dust. This is PM 10 and PM 2.5. This black colored carbon dust or coal dust gets deposited in the lungs, and lungs, instead of becoming healthy and pink, they turn black, and people always have cough, and with the cough black colored sputum or phlegm comes out, often with blood streaks, and that condition, of course people will die very soon. That condition is called as black lung disease, also called as the pneumoconiosis or coal workers pneumoconiosis. Previous year question, preliminary. This is one occupational lung disorder. Second one, previous year question was byssinosis. Previous year question, byssinosis. It is cotton and textile workers. For example, cotton grows on fields and people go there to extract cotton from plants, and that cotton is supplied to textile industries. In the textile mills and textile industries, people work, and fine cotton dust, which is very thin, very small, often is inhaled by these workers, and that cotton fiber dust gets deposited in the lungs and causes fibrosis disease, and that is called as byssinosis. It is because of cotton inhalation of cotton fiber. It is very small. These two are the previous year questions we have had from occupational lung disorders. Other occupational lung disorders are what? Other occupational lung disorders like asbestosis, asbestos industries, we have 6 different types of fibers which are synthetic fibers, which are used in factories to make sheet, structural sheets, roofing sheets, asbestos sheets in rural areas. Asbestos sheets are used for small structures or industrial godowns. If you inhale that synthetic chemical asbestos dust, you get asbestosis and silicosis. Sand mining, sand transportation, cement manufacturing industries, gypsum associated industries, they inhale silicon dust, which is very small dust, and by inhalation people get which disease? Silicosis. So these 4 are very popular occupational lung diseases, in which we had 2 previous questions already, pneumoconiosis and byssinosis. So now why we are saying all these things is you would know where to emphasize more, where to focus more. Such a small 2 or 3 line sentence, we had 2 questions already. Not that it will repeat, there is no surprise if it gets repeated, but you should know all these things in general. Okay. So these are few examples of occupational lung diseases. Apart from that, so we discussed about solid, liquid and gaseous air pollutants here, and then air, how to control and prevention. You will receive PDF regarding facts and acts which do not change. Legislation, act, scheme, all those things are facts which do not change, and you will get the printout, handouts and PDFs from office regarding all those legislations. Don't worry about it. Yes, Air Act, that is prevention and control of pollution. Air Act 1981. Legislations. Number 2, Environmental Protection Act. Environmental Protection Act 1986. National Green Tribunal. National Green Tribunal and various local legislations. These 4 are the general guidelines for controlling air pollution in India. In simple words, what are the mechanisms through which we monitor and control? Mechanisms through which Government of India monitors and controls. First, through Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Boards. Air pollution is monitored and steps are taken which are different in different states and different cities. Air pollution is different in different cities and states, please understand this. Delhi air pollution is largely because of geographical location, season, number of vehicles, stubble burning in Haryana and Punjab, and Diwali crackers, and summer extreme low temperature, winter extreme low temperatures. So these are unique to Delhi. Same climate, same conditions do not exist in Bangalore. Bangalore doesn't suffer from stubble burning issues. Geographical location of Bangalore is different, and winter temperatures in Bangalore are different. So pollution in Delhi is because of different reason. Pollution in Bangalore may be because of different reasons. If reasons are different, how can solution be same? Yes or no? Can we apply same rules to Delhi pollution and Bangalore pollution? No, because they will not work. We don't have one size fits all approach for all problems of all people. They don't work. So state pollution control boards would monitor and study the level of pollution, the causes or reasons for pollution, and would indicate local solutions for those problems. So mechanisms. Apart from that, we have the ambient air quality monitoring and air quality index. Air quality index again is what? So 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 101 to 200, 201 to 300, 300, 301 to 400 and more than 400. Delhi constantly has been more than 400 category. So 0 to 50 is what? Safe. Safety, for example, we have one place in Karnataka called as Kodagu, that is Coorg. Always air quality index is less than 30. Very clean. That air will keep you alive. But come to Bangalore, is more than 200. Delhi, more than 400. So it is very unsafe. But we make choices. Yes or no? 50 to 100 is what? Satisfactory. Yes. 100 to 101 to 200, poor. Yes. 201 to 300, very poor. And 300 to 400, severe. And above 400, very severe or hazardous. Disease, choking, cough, people die. So these are the categories based on air quality index under monitoring program given by Central Pollution Control Board, empowered by Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. Clear? That is the mechanism we have. Number 2 is what? Next is the emission standards. Emission standards. The goal is to reduce reduction standards. From the year 2000-2001, Government of India has adopted the Euro emission norms in India as Bharat emission norms, called as BS, Bharat stage, and numbers are given similar to Euro emission norms. Currently we are in BS 6 stage of emission norms. This is a set of regulations to control vehicular emissions. Vehicular emissions. The list of details will be given to you in the form of PDF. Don't worry, have a look and that's enough. That is a fact. Yes. So these are some activities concerned with air pollution. Next is water pollution. Please remember that we still have climate change and biodiversity to discuss in environment, and then we have to move on to science and technology. Yes. So if we consume more time only on pollution, we will have less time for climate change and biodiversity, which are actually more important. Yes or no? We will try to move little quickly about pollution, and then we will spend more time on climate change and biodiversity. Climate change and biodiversity are better understood through pictures. I have prepared a lot of slides are there, I think. No, yes. Climate change these pictures are there. Okay. Lot of pictures are there. Yes. You will understand a lot of such things, because some people will have photographic memory. They remember pictures better than some words, heard words. Yes or no? Apart from this, we have a lot of other biodiversity related pictures also. So some animals, some plants, it will be easy for you to remember. Yes or no? So we will be using a lot of pictures in climate change and biodiversity. So that is relatively more important. Yes. So we will move a little quickly about this pollution chapter here. Second one is what? Water pollution in general. So water pollution. So water, definitely we know that a very important aspect of our lives, and water is required by all living organisms, and very commonly we see water pollution. Here again you have to understand, water is very frequently contaminated, and of course pollution. Understand the differences here. Contamination is what? Change in the natural physical properties of water. That is lack of color, lack of odor, lack of taste and transparency are the natural physical properties of water. If these are altered, then it is called as contamination. If that contamination proves to be harmful to living organisms including humans, then that is water pollution. The line of differentiation between contamination and pollution is very thin based on consequences. If it is harmful, then it is pollution. If it is not harmful, it is just contamination. But it is very difficult for a common man or woman to know whether water is polluted or contaminated. Are you able to understand this? So it is very difficult to know, and that is why many people become affected by polluted water. They get diseases. For example, cholera. bacteria. Water looks transparent, colorless, odorless, tasteless. But if you consume it, you have diarrhea, vomiting, fever and death also, dehydration and death. Cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, waterborne diseases, infections are very common in poor countries, in developing countries and in overpopulated countries. And illiterate, uneducated people become victims of these waterborne infections or diseases. Very common. Even in rural Karnataka also, this waterborne diseases, diarrhea, dysentery, often once in a while they appear as epidemic outbreaks. You must have heard about this in newspaper if you see rural Karnataka or rural India in general. Yes. So, and very frequently if you go from one place to another place, you consume water there, you will get throat infection, stomach upset. Frequent, yes or no? You think you are educated and still you don't know which water is polluted, which water is not, and you become infected by water pollution, yes or no? If you, that is future IAS, can become victim of water pollution, what about illiterate rural common people? Especially young children, very elderly people and pregnant women. This happens. As a district collector, it is your responsibility to supply clean, safe drinking water to all people in your district. If all district collectors are working according to their duties, would there be any issue of water pollution? No. That means district collectors are, you know that. What would you do? What matters is what you would do. It's not about criticizing and blaming others that they did not do what they are supposed to do. What would you do if you are there? You would know when you are there. You will become busy with many things and you will ignore your basic duties. Yes or no? And that is what is happening now. You will become too big. That problems of people would appear too small because you became too big. At least you think so. Getting back here. Water pollution and how do we define water pollution? Again, presence of or addition of certain substances like physical, chemical or biological substances or agents or factors. Factors like what? Heat, nutrients, or pH altering substances, factors to water in such quantities or for such duration which makes water unfit for consumption with potential harmful effects. So, this can be very generic definition to water pollution, very common in India and across the world also. You go to African countries, many people still suffer from waterborne diseases and a lack of access to clean, safe, potable drinking water. Do you understand this? So, that is a pretty pressing problem globally. So, what are the sources and causes of water pollution here? Please understand, water pollution is because of a lot of activities, and first and very important activity is what here? Industrial activities. Industries release their toxic effluents into the nearby water bodies because it is easy. For example, you see, you go to Bangalore, many industries are there, where all these industries are releasing their toxic waste into Arabian Sea. You go to Visakhapatnam, Vizag in Andhra Pradesh, many industries are there. Where do you think industries release their effluents and toxic waste? Into Bay of Bengal. You go to Japan, many industries are there on the coast of Pacific Ocean, Japan. Where do you think all the industries in Japan release their toxic waste? Into Pacific Ocean. Go to Bombay, Mumbai, many industries are there. Where all these industries releasing their toxic effluent wastes? Into Arabian Sea. Where else? Those waste cannot be discarded on the ground because it is already occupied by people. The only way out is throw that into ocean, assuming that ocean will take anything and everything. If it gives you back, you cannot survive. Once in a while it does. Yes or no? But people take ocean for granted. That is why oceans are getting polluted now more than ever before. Because many industries are located on the shore, coastline. Yes or no? Because transportation is easy, cheap, labor availability, and in general you have the transportation, communication, international export, import, all those become cost effective. Hence we established a lot of industries. Strategically also they are useful, and across history, across times immemorial, the trade activities, industries have been established on coastal towns and cities only. Anyways, getting back here. So industrial effluents are released which are toxic in nature, toxic, and heavy metals. What is a heavy metal? What is a heavy metal? Any idea? Metal which is heavy, isn't it? Is iron heavy metal? Is copper a heavy metal? Is gold a heavy metal? Is silver heavy metal? Or is mercury a heavy metal? Then what differentiates? What is heavy? 1 kg of mercury, 1 kg of iron, or 1 kg gold. Do you think both are different in their weight? 1 kg, 1 kg. Then what is heavy metal? What denotes heavy in a heavy metal? What makes it heavy? Yes, please. There is a phenomenon called as what? Okay, forget about it. In geography we must have studied Earth is a solid planet. Yes or no? Solid, very solid planet. And density of Earth is very high. How much is the density? Average, because crust density is different, mantle density is different, core density is different, you know that. So average density of Earth is how much? Geography is studied? At least you think you studied? You did? And tell me, what is average density of Earth? On which planet do you live? Are you sure? What a coincidence. What is the average density of Earth? Because of density we have gravity, don't forget it. Yes or no? Do you think Earth has gravity? Try jumping from here outside. You will understand. Why gravity is there on the Earth? Because of density. What is average density of Earth? Why Earth has magnetic property? Fleming's right hand thumb rule, you know? What is that? Fleming's right hand thumb rule. What does that indicate and how it is related to magnetic property of the Earth? That's how you get questions. Connecting 2 or 3 topics put together, one question. Preparation for this exam is interdisciplinary, connecting the dots, combining all subjects together. Yes or no? You will not get a specific question on a specific topic separately, combining 2 or 3. So the core of the Earth has electrically charged particles rotating in a particular direction, because Earth is rotating. Yes or no? When electrically charged particles are rotating in one direction, magnetic property or magnetic field will be present in perpendicular direction. That is Fleming's right hand thumb rule. Yes or no? If an object is moving in one direction, magnetic property will be in perpendicular and electricity will be in a perpendicular direction. That is Fleming's right hand thumb rule. Yes or no? A moving object creates magnetic as well as electrical fields around it, but in a perpendicular direction. That is the principle behind electrical generator. Yes or no? For example, you have what is that we are looking at here? What is that? What is this? in a thermal power plant, this is a turbine. Electricity is generated based on this. You burn coal, you produce heat, you boil the water, you produce steam. Steam is allowed to rotate the blades of a turbine. Rotating blades of a turbine have magnetic core, and faster you rotate, faster would be electricity generated in the perpendicular direction, because these are rotating in one direction. A magnet is present in the center, like dynamo. In our childhood we had in our village, we had bicycles fitted with dynamo, and faster you pedal the bicycle, headlight was there to bicycle, which used to glow bright. Faster you pedal, brighter would be the light. Do you know what is bicycle? Have you ever seen it? With a dynamo, with a headlight, not with a battery. I don't know your generation knows about all these things or not, unless you are from a village. Yeah, you don't know all those things. I know, I can sense it. I would wonder if you know what is a bicycle and how to pedal it. Yes? Because right from childhood, yeah, you have been continuously, challenged with a lot of scooters and bikes and cars and all. Yes? One second, just a second. I'll just tell people not to disturb me. Okay, where are we? Yes. So what happens? The core of the earth has electrically charged particles. If they are rotating in one direction, yes please. If they are rotating in one direction, electrically charged particles, in a perpendicular direction, magnetic field will be created. That is why earth has a magnetic property. So magnetic property of the earth is because of different reason, and earth also has a gravity, yes or no? The weakest fundamental force in the universe, gravitational force, gravity. Why earth has gravity? Because of density. Yes? So what is the average density of the planet earth? 5.5 grams per cubic centimeter in general. Okay, getting back here. Similarly, what is the reason why we call some metals as heavy metals? Because of their high density. How much? Again, more than 5 grams per cubic centimeter, and they range from 5.2, 5.3, 5.5. So high density, very high density, and because of which they interact with tissues and cause diseases. For example, mercury causes minamata. Heard about this minamata? Cadmium in general causes painful joint disease called as itai. Arsenic, black foot disease. Likewise, we have a lot of such things here. So some toxic minerals are there. In them, some are heavy metals, some are not heavy metals. For example, fluoride, fluorosis in the water. Karnataka also. Yes or no? Many parts of India. Okay, likewise, getting back here. So industrial activities, effluents. For example, when you go to Mysuru from Bangalore, on the way you will get a village called as Bidadi. Bidadi industrial area. There we conducted a medical camp, free medical camp. Every year we used to go to a government school in Bidadi, and we used to conduct a medical camp there, free medical camp. School children, villagers. I don't know how it is now. I am talking about 15 years ago. Yes, when we were in college. And then in the Bidadi, there is a Coca-Cola bottling plant on the right side of highway back then. I don't know whether it is there now or not. Coca-Cola beverage, bottling plant was there in the middle of agricultural fields. And from where they used to extract water? From the ground. Yes. Groundwater was already polluted with the pesticides sprayed by the agricultural activities in the vicinities. And pesticides were found in Coca-Cola. You understand this? Agricultural activities are second major source of water pollution. Yes, what you heard is right. Then are we saying that agriculture is a polluting activity? Yes. If it is polluting, then how should we perform agriculture, and how should we produce food? Agriculture itself is not polluting, but the methods we follow in the form of chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides, that should be avoided. You understand this? But thanks to first green revolution, who is that? First green revolution, M.S. Swaminathan. What was the formula of first green revolution? Over irrigation through dams and reservoirs, high yielding variety of seeds through biotechnology or import, then excessive use of chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides. When all these things were combined, crop yields increased exponentially, satisfying the hunger of increasing Indian population, and hence is labeled as very successful activity in the post-independent India. Solved the food grain shortage, food crisis in India, it's solved. From deficient food grains, we became surplus food grain country in the world. That is all because of first green revolution. Yes or no? You must have studied this in GS3 also. Yes. Can we apply same principles now to the agricultural fields and crops as we followed the principles during 1960s and 70s during first green revolution? Can we follow the same method? Can we get same results now? So, agricultural activities because of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, and third is domestic, that is sewage, garbage, sewage and waste disposal methods. Domestic, household, residences. Fourth is commercial, consumeristic lifestyle, lot of plastic usage, yes, lot of packaging, plastics, adhesives, gums, and lot of other synthetic materials which are non-biodegradable are used and are discarded into water pollution. Okay, so these are the sources of water pollution. Next, pollutants per se. What are the actual causes? That is pollutants. So, first we have we have had a lot of questions on this. One popular question is what? Eutrophication. Anyways, we will talk about them. Yes. So, industrial activities. So, industrial activities release lot of toxic wastes. All manufacturing industries, metallurgical industries and semiconductor industries, they release lot of heavy metals like mercury and cadmium. They are released from almost all types of industries, metallurgical industries, smelting industries, metal extraction industries, alloy making industries, semiconductor manufacturing industries, and structures, the heavy like railway, rail coach factories we have in Yelahanka. Yes or no? So, railway track manufacturing, rail wheel factories, railway coach, car body manufacturing, welding industries, all these industries use lot of metals. In that, mercury and cadmium are very commonly released toxic wastes into the nearby water body here. So, whether it is in the coastal regions, in the bays, into the sea or ocean, or into the river. For example, on the banks of Ganga river, Ganges, many industries are located in Uttar Pradesh. Of course, not only Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal also. On either side of Ganga river, many industries are located. And where would all these industries release their toxic wastes, effluents? Into the Ganga, because Ganga will take it away to Bay of Bengal. That's the belief. Across decades we have been doing it. And people in Varanasi drink the water, assuming that it will religiously purify you, it will bless you, it will keep you healthy. Damn it, you will get cancer because of that. Yes or no? But people do everything. And in West Bengal, in people worship Ganga. In Bihar, people worship Ganga. In Uttar Pradesh, people worship Ganga. You understand this? So things are different here. Yes, Ganga water is sold in small bottles also. Yes or no? That's a business. Yes. Anyways, so coastal bay or sea or ocean here, river here in general, or into the groundwater. Very, very important here. Groundwater contamination or pollution is also a very serious problem here. Yes, in urban areas. So all these types of water will be polluted because of these toxic wastes here, especially mercury and cadmium. Apart from that, mining activities. For example, you see Kolar gold field. They have mined into very deep areas, deeper into the ground, and in the same mining activity, lot of toxins have been removed. And when water stores in that area because of rain or something, and these toxic elements will mix with the water, they will enter groundwater table and reach nearby areas from where people would extract through bore wells water and drink the water. Don't you think that is harmful? Because of mining in Kolar goldfields, people are experiencing toxic elements in the drinking water. It is. Then depends. Second, the first private gold mine in India, and last week they started. Yes or no? Where? Yes, Andhra Pradesh. Which place? Kurnool district. What is the place called as? Jonnagiri. In the month of May they will start mining activity. So they have a potential of approximately 40 plus tons of gold in the next few years. The investment is 400 crore rupees. Private gold mining for the first time. Private gold mining. Yes. Yearly they are trying to extract at least 1000 kilos of gold. At least 1 ton, 1000 kilo of gold yearly. That is a potential benefit. 1000 kilos, and you can imagine. So getting back here. So mercury and cadmium, we know that there are certain diseases associated with mercury and cadmium also. So they are harmful because mercury was released because of lot of metallurgical industries for the first time in Minamata Bay in Japan by Chisso Corporation. Between 1938 to 1960s, continuously this Chisso Corporation have been releasing mercury laden toxic heavy metal waste into Minamata Bay. Continuously it was being released, and people in the vicinities, they started developing the weakness of bones and muscles, loss of consciousness, and they were dying. So initially people thought it is just because of some diseases, unless on a large scale, large number of people were presented to hospitals with similar symptoms. That is when local government started examining them and started observing the water, food and air qualities in the area. That is when they realized that all these people were suffering from mercury toxicity because of consumption of fish caught in Minamata Bay in Japan. Minamata Bay, fishermen caught the fish, these people consumed that fish, they developed symptoms, and they examined the fish, and fish had high levels of mercury in their bodies. From where did fish get mercury? Then all the industries were releasing their waste into the Minamata Bay, and in that waste mercury was a chief ingredient. And one industry was responsible more than others, was Chisso Corporation industry, which released lot of mercury, and they have shut this industry. But by then the damage had occurred. People lost their lives already. You able to understand this? Well, that's how it is. So getting back here, because of which we have a name of the disease called as Minamata disease. And there is international convention also, legally binding convention, not to release mercury toxic waste into the nearby water body, called as Minamata Convention. Yes, India is a signatory in Minamata Convention. Minamata disease, mercury poisoning.
Yes, and then cadmium. Cadmium also is released because of metallurgical activities, and cadmium poisoning, cadmium toxicity would also cause the accumulation of cadmium and swelling of small joints in the body, a painful joint disease called as itai disease. In Japan also, in Japan it is called as itai. So itai, painful joints disease, cadmium. So these are some examples of how industrial effluents can cause water pollution and can cause diseases in general. So these are simple examples here. These were previous questions, mercury poisoning and cadmium toxicity here, industrial activities. And moving on to agricultural activities. Agriculture, how agricultural activities can cause water pollution here. Agricultural activities, we use lot of chemicals, chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So fertilizers, very common fertilizers used in India, what are they? Yes please. Nitrate based and common, very common. Of course we use lot of fertilizers, but very common ones are what? Sources of nitrogen, urea and all, and sources of phosphorus, phosphate. You get it? So phosphate based, nitrate based fertilizers are very commonly used, and farmers assume that if you supply more fertilizers, if you supply more water, you will get a more crop yield. That's a false belief. Plants are not like humans, they are not greedy, they will take only how much ever is required. Because you supply more, they will not take them more. Humans will take more. How much ever you give, people will take, yes or no? Whether water or food or money or gold, how much ever you give, people will keep taking. Hence there is a proverb called as, giver should exercise control, taker seldom have a control. When you are giving something to someone, the one who is giving should control, because receiver, taker will keep on taking whatever you give, how much ever you will give. They will never say no, or they will never say enough. That's a long shot, isn't it? In the name of subsidies, welfare measures, support, reservation, how much ever you keep on giving, people will keep taking them. They will never say enough, stop, give to somebody else. They will never say that. Give me only, give everything to me, they will say. Yes or no? People are always greedy. They want, they only want, and they want all. Welcome to India. Yes or no? That's how people are. Yes, but plants are not like people. They are not greedy. They grow well only under optimum circumstances, optimal resource availability. Who said this? Barry Commoner, if you remember. Barry Commoner's law. Okay, so excess or oversupply and over irrigation. This will make the fertilizers move in the form of runoff, and excessive fertilizers will reach nearby lake or pond or water body. Now these fertilizers, especially the nitrogen based fertilizers and phosphorus or phosphate based fertilizers, when they are supplied to nearby water body, what happens? Inside the water you have fishes, yes, and then you will have plants, and near the boundaries you have algae, algal growth. That means small microscopic growth of algae near the surface of water. And water usually is transparent, sunlight penetrates into the water, and plants inside the water can perform photosynthesis, and all these things would remain normal. Such a water body is called as oligotrophic lake. or oligotrophic water body or oligotrophic pond, wherein water is transparent, sunlight penetrates, plants inside the water can perform photosynthesis and maintain oxygen levels inside the water, fishes can survive, and water body seems to be healthy. No foul odor, no decomposition, everything is healthy concerned with this water body. Now, excessive fertilizers through runoff reach this water body. Then what will happen? So, we had 2 or 3 previous questions from this topic alone, and we had a mains question also based on this in general. So, when nitrates and phosphates reach through runoff, agricultural runoff, because of over irrigation and excessive supply of fertilizers, algae would absorb these nitrates and phosphates first, and there will be sudden excessive growth of algae called as algal bloom. What is algal bloom? Sudden excessive growth of algae near the surface of water body called as algal bloom happens. Algae grow fast by consuming nutrients, and slowly algae would cover the surface of the water body. Now, this covering of the surface of water body by algal growth would block sunlight penetration. When sunlight does not enter the water, plants inside the water cannot perform photosynthesis. Now, that is the first step. Now, because of which what happens here, you have to understand 2 concepts here, or there is a phenomenon called as dissolved oxygen. The concentration of oxygen here usually a healthy water body will have 5 to 8 milligrams per liter of oxygen, which is dissolved inside the water, which can be absorbed by animals inside the water. How animals absorb oxygen inside water? For example, how fish takes oxygen from water? For example, you see we have it takes water through mouth. Fish would take water from mouth and release the water through, what are these? Gill slits, gills. Yes or no? Gills are there? You have seen a live fish, observed gills. They are flaps, tiny lines like openings through which water comes out. So, these gills have mucous membrane lining. You get it? So, there is dissolved oxygen in the water, and that dissolved oxygen is absorbed by mucous membranes present in the gill slits, and remaining water is released outside. How do you think dissolved oxygen enters the body of fish? Through diffusion. What is diffusion? We discussed earlier. Movement of nutrients and gases from an area of high concentration towards an area of low concentration without the expenditure of energy across a semi-permeable membrane. Yes or no? Through mucous membranes, dissolved oxygen, which is more in water, enters the blood of fish where less concentration of oxygen is there. So, more oxygen, less oxygen. High concentration, low concentration. Oxygen enters the body of the fish through diffusion. And that is the mechanism through which these fishes would take the oxygen which is dissolved in the water. How did oxygen enter the water primarily? Photosynthesis performed by the plants, phytoplanktons inside the water in the presence of sunlight. Yes and no? So, that is how we have dissolved oxygen. Now, what happens? Sunlight is blocked because of overgrowth of algae. Now, phytoplanktons cannot perform photosynthesis, hence they cannot release oxygen. Then what happens to dissolved oxygen? Slowly decreases. And if supply of oxygen is decreased, what will happen to demand? increase, which is called as biological oxygen demand, indicated by decreasing dissolved oxygen concentrations. Biological oxygen demand. Less than 5 milligrams per liter will be dissolved oxygen, indicating an increase in biological oxygen demand. Now, biological oxygen demand also is because of the bacterial and other microbial respiration activity. When slowly oxygen declines, fishes and plants cannot survive, they start dying. Once they start dying, microorganisms would break them down, and in this process they consume the oxygen, and that is indicated by less than 5 of dissolved oxygen, biological oxygen demand. But based on observation of biological oxygen demand, we cannot conclude that water body is polluted. Now we have some other indicator called as chemical oxygen demand. Which is indicated by less than 2 milligrams of oxygen per liter dissolved oxygen, which indicates the true nature of that water body as polluted water body because of chemical oxygen demand, indicated as less than 2 of dissolved oxygen here. What is chemical oxygen demand? Chemical oxygen demand is the oxidation potential of both organic and inorganic substances in the water which take up oxygen for formation of chemical products, chemical activities which consume oxygen, indicating chemical oxygen demand. If it is less than 2 milligrams per liter, that indicates the pollution of water. So if you want to check water is polluted or not, look for COD value, not BOD value. It was a previous year question, which of the following is appropriate regarding eutrophication? So chemical oxygen demand, biological oxygen demand, or dissolved oxygen increase, dissolved oxygen decrease, a lot of options were there. Answer is chemical oxygen demand. Okay, so this process continues further as water body is completely covered with algal growth, which resulted in death of plants and animals, and bacterial decomposition increases. In the initial stages, bacteria will consume oxygen and perform disintegration, but later when oxygen decreases, they will perform anaerobic respiration and they cause rotting or decomposition, anaerobic decomposition, releasing methane and ammonia from the water, which is foul odor generating. And this activity is so harmful that all these activities started because of algal bloom. Hence this algal bloom came to be known as harmful, which is also called as harmful algal bloom. Harmful for whom? For plants and animals inside the water. Because of algal bloom, it is harmful algal bloom. If such harmful algal bloom grows on ocean surface, especially growth of which type of algae? Diatoms, which oxidize iron oxide. They have iron oxide pigments, which grow on the surface of oceans. Often they give red or reddish brown appearance to patches of ocean. These patches move with the tides. and such moving red or brownish colored tides are called as red tides. Previous year question. Red tide is one form of algal bloom, harmful algal bloom which grows on the surface of ocean waters because of iron oxide pigmented diatoms, algae on the surface of oceans. Red tide. Similar thing happens in lakes. We call this process as eutrophication. Eutrophic lake is polluted lake. What is the name of healthy lake? Oligotrophic lake, we mentioned earlier. So why these names? What do you mean by oligotrophic? What do you mean by eutrophic? If you remember earlier we mentioned a term called as trophy. Trophy means what? Energy. Oligotrophic means low or optimum. Oligo, low or optimum. Trophy, energy, which talks about optimum energy supply, and there exists a healthy competition between all organisms inside the water, and no organism overgrows, no organism would dominate. Hence, water body has low productivity and transparent. Healthy, transparent. No overgrowth of any one species of organisms inside the water because healthy competition, and dissolved oxygen is sufficient for all organisms. And transparent water allows sunlight penetration and healthy growth happens. So this is oligotrophic lake. Then what is eutrophic? Eu means true, we all know that. Or here more than optimum. Supra-optimum or near critical maximum. What happens here? Energy is more, then growth is more. Overgrowth. Unhealthy competition. Some organisms dominate over rest of the organisms. For example, algae dominate all other organisms. You understand this? So, overgrowth of few organisms dominating others. Unhealthy competition. Unhealthy competition. Unhealthy competition becomes harmful for few and useful for few. This results in pollution of water. So, oligotrophic lake is healthy lake, eutrophic lake is polluted lake, and you know the difference now. Productivity becomes higher, overgrowth of some organisms, domination of some organisms, and pollution. Oligotrophic lake is healthy competition and no overgrowth, no domination of few over others, no excessive supply of energy, optimum availability of energy, hence healthy competition and normal growth. Oligotrophic. You understand this? So this is the previous question, hence we are talking about it. So excessive fertilizers cause eutrophication. What about excessive pesticides? Excessive pesticides. Pesticides are very commonly used in agricultural activities, and most of the pesticides find their way into water, nearby water body or groundwater in general. And most of the pesticides are organochlorinated, polychlorinated, benzofurans, benzodioxins, which are having adverse impacts on animals, including humans. They are also called as gender benders. That means they cause hormonal imbalance and infertility among men and women. Gender bender. and majority of the pesticides are carcinogenic, cancer causing, and majority of the pesticides are teratogenic. What is teratogenic? They cause birth defects in newborns because pregnant women were exposed to pesticides and unborn child called as fetus, fetus and embryo. When embryonic and fetal stages are exposed to pesticides, the fetus will develop birth defects, and once the child is born with birth defects which cannot be corrected or cured. So when embryo gets affected by something, such impact is called as a teratogenicity, and such a substance or factor responsible for changes in the embryo is called as teratogen. For example, X-ray is a teratogen. If a pregnant woman goes and gets exposed to X-rays, that embryo or fetus growing inside will develop birth defects. So ionizing radiation like X-ray is considered as teratogenic to embryo or fetus. If a mother, pregnant woman during her pregnancy consumes alcohol, some people do, the fetus develops a fetal alcohol syndrome, underdeveloped brain. You understand this? And then if a pregnant woman during pregnancy takes sleeping pills like thalidomide because they find it difficult to fall asleep, pregnant women suffer from insomnia, sleeplessness. Often they ask doctors, hey doctor, I am not feeling sleep, I am not getting sleep, give me some sleeping pills. Previously, around 1 decade ago, doctors used to prescribe a drug called as thalidomide, sleeping pill. But thalidomide consumed by pregnant women gave rise to defects in the embryo and fetus. So thalidomide became teratogen, X-ray is teratogen, alcohol is teratogen. So certain other drugs also are teratogenic in nature. You will understand this. If pregnant woman consumes fruits or vegetables or food rich in pesticides, those pesticides cause defects in the embryo or fetus and child will be born with birth defects. Hence pesticides are teratogenic in nature. Then don't ask me what should a pregnant woman eat. Don't ask me. Talk to your doctor, because each case is different. You understand this? Okay, getting back here. So pesticides are harmful in general. What are the examples? DDT is very popular. You understand this? And aldrin, endrin, chlordin, dieldrin, and this DDT, and Mirex, toxaphene, hexafluor, and then we have polychlorinated biphenyl, polychlorinated dibenzofuran, polychlorinated dibenzodioxins. So there are many such substances which are considered as very harmful. They are prohibited, banned by Stockholm Convention, and they are called as dirty dozen. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. So agricultural activities, it is excessive fertilizers causing eutrophication of water bodies, excessive pesticides which are carcinogenic, hormone disrupting, and teratogenic if consumed. Then domestic activities in the form of sewage. Sewage is a major problem because it stagnates and percolates or leaches. So leachates, percolates into the ground and causes groundwater pollution. Sewage, and you know that domestic sewage is a very big municipal water crisis in urban areas. Sewage is a major problem, you know that, and in cities like Hyderabad there is open drainage system. Sewage accumulates, giving rise to foul odor, decomposition, growth of bacteria and fungi, and many animals, disease spreading animals would roam around there and they create nuisance. Aesthetic appeal is lost, foul odor is present, contamination of surface water and pollution of groundwater and spread of diseases. All these put together, they will destroy the very civic sense of a city. Yes or no? At least we don't have that issue in Bangalore. Bangalore has closed drainage system. Hyderabad has open drainage system, you know that. Chennai also some areas have open drainage system. You understand this? And Delhi also has closed. But the stormwater drains are clogged by plastic. Blocked. So when it rains, you know, Bangalore, what happens? You have to buy a boat. Yes or no? Improper planning and design of underground drainage channels and blocked or clogged storm water drains because of plastic. So all these things are making difficult. Concerned with sewage management. Yes. So domestic sewage comes from your activities using soaps, detergents, cleaning agents, some acids or alkalis, food waste, animal body parts. Yes, all these put together, it is very hazardous. And coupled with this, hospital wastes, infectious, pus, infected fluids, blood, body fluids, body parts of patients are discarded into water and they pollute groundwater, and you extract that groundwater, drink it, you will get new diseases. Yes. So lot of infectious, you know, hazardous, harmful, you know, effects will be there because of sewage and hospital waste here. So these are the most common causes of pollution here in general. So how do we prevent? And so waterborne diseases, as we mentioned earlier, waterborne diseases because of microorganisms are very common. What is that here? Contamination of water, pollution of water. This causes what? Amoebic dysentery, very popular, amoebic dysentery. What is amoebic dysentery? Entamoeba histolytica, protozoan, Entamoeba histolytica, tetranucleated cyst of Entamoeba histolytica, amoebic dysentery, life threatening. Open foods, open water attracts these larvae or cysts which are carried by the wind or water from elsewhere into your water. If you don't cover water container and the wind or water blows these droplets and that water gets polluted. If you drink it, you get amoebic dysentery. Or certain bacterial diseases like what? Vibrio cholera causes cholera disease. And you know this very popular contaminated water, pani puri. What is that? So salmonella. What is that? Enteric fever, typhoid. Yes, salmonella typhi and salmonella paratyphi cause pani puri. We call it as pani puri. That bhaiya, you know, water with holy hands, and that water quality, source of water, and all the girls in the evenings are surrounding that universal pani puri. Bhaiya, bhaiya, thoda aur pani dena, bhaiya, thoda pyaz dena, bhaiya, give some salmonella also. Yes, you ask and eat it, so delicious it is. Yes or no? Almost always this pani puri bandi is next to a drainage canal only. Maybe it tastes good for all the girls around that bhaiya. Yes or no? Salmonella, shigella, salmonella, what not? Yes, waterborne infections. You understand this? But people don't change. Evenings you go, you will find them. Yes or no? Am I wrong? You know better. Yes. So salmonella, all these things, and then of course even many diseases. Virus also spreads through polluted water consumption here. So fungi spread, fungal diseases spread through polluted water. So we have lot of such diseases, waterborne infections. And some other diseases which are spread through polluted water, as we mentioned earlier, mercury toxicity causes Minamata disease. Minamata disease. Cadmium toxicity, Itai. We have few more. Arsenic. If you extract water from deeper areas, arsenic is a natural mineral in the deeper layers of the earth's crust. Arsenic is natural mineral. So is fluoride. Especially when water is extracted from deeper areas, In drought prone areas, you have to dig deep beyond 400 feet, 600 feet, 1000 feet, 1200 feet in some parts. Then naturally arsenic and fluoride will become part of water, and if you consume that water you will get diseases. Arsenic causes black foot disease and cancer of the skin. Fluoride causes fluorosis, both dental fluorosis as well as skeletal fluorosis. Skeletal fluorosis is debilitating, deformative, crippling disease where bones bend because phosphorus mineral is replaced by fluoride mineral in the bones. Calcium phosphate forms the mineral component of the bones. This phosphate is replaced by fluoride. So demineralization of bones would occur. Demineralization would soften the bones. Bones will frequently are prone to fractures or they bend because of load. And spine bends, hands bend, legs bend. Can the person perform activities daily like normal person? They will be bedridden, non-productive, burden and bedridden. So many people try to commit suicides. You understand this? That is all because you consumed some water from the ground. That's all. That's fluorosis, skeletal fluorosis. Dental fluorosis, brownish mottling of teeth. Teeth enamel will be eroded and they will become like sharp and disfigured. This shape is gone. Sharp, irregular shape, and they will break. And it is aesthetic appeal. It doesn't look good. Hence they don't smile. Smile. If you don't smile, you will have a social issues. Yes or no? People will not come and talk to you. Yes. And you will be boycotted and you will be avoided, and you also feel shy and you will not come out of the house. You don't talk to people. Hence productivity gets affected. Relationships get affected. Yes or no? And you cannot eat properly. You cannot smile, and that's a bigger issue for some people. Yes or no? And a dentist also cannot do much about it. Remove all the teeth and put a new teeth. Maybe it helps. But can you afford it? It is very expensive. Not all people can afford it. Dental fluorosis. These are few issues associated with the contamination or pollution of water and diseases in general. And 1974 Government of India has brought in a legislation called as Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. PDF will be supplemented with it regarding the sections and subsections and clauses of the act. If you want to know, PDF will be given to you. Yes, water pollution in general, and purification methods which are also called as water disinfection methods. First, because this was a previous question, hence we are talking about it. Number one is chlorination. Second is ozonation. Let me know if you want a break or so that till what time you have the, at what time you want the break? Yes, please. Now? You want the break now? 5 minutes? We will be done with this and we will move to another topic. Before that we will give a break. What is chlorination here? So once you add chlorine bleach, so bleaching, often some people call it as chlorine bleach, which is available as a powder. Once you mix this with water, it forms hypochlorous acid. Hypochlorous acid. This penetrates bacteria, and this breaks the peptide bonds which are present between amino acids of protein or enzymes inside bacteria. So when proteins or enzymes are broken down in bacteria, bacteria would die. So you understand the mechanism here? How chlorination disinfects water. That is why you see in swimming pools, public swimming pools, water tank, drainage canals, you will see chlorine bleach powder sprayed, white color powder, you must have seen. Sometimes in the municipal water you will have strong pungent smell and taste sometimes. That is because they tried to disinfect the water by adding chlorine bleach powder to the water. It kills all the bacteria very effectively. But this leaves some residue. Not only odor, smell, not only strong taste, but also the chlorine residue will add hydrochloric acid to the water. pH decreases. Hydrochloric acid less than 7 pH. Water becomes acidic. Okay, still tolerable. But chlorine bleach residue is carcinogenic. Causes skin cancers. Now that is a problem. For example, public swimming pools are cleaned by a process called as what? Shock chlorination. What is shock chlorination? A preferred method of disinfecting public swimming pools. Swimming pool, you know, summers many people go to public swimming pools, you pay some money for 1 hour and you swim and come back and assume that that is a method of having fun and leisure. Many people find recreational leisure in swimming, yes or no, especially during summers, yes or no. How that water is cleaned? If not cleaned, you know what will happen. Many people, we don't know what germs they carry on their bodies or inside their bodies, yes, and if they jump into the water and you are in the same water means germs can enter your body as well, that can kill you, that can cause diseases to you immediately, yes or no. Public swimming pools. So more amount of chlorine, that is bleach, is added to water than that which can dissolve. So to create hypertonic solution, you understand this? Here chlorine bleach powder is a solute, water in the swimming pool is a solvent. So more bleach is added to water than that can be dissolved by the water. So within short period of time more chlorine is added, hence all bacteria will be dead within short period of time. Gradually that undissolved chlorine get deposited at the bottom, that will be removed and fresh water will be added gradually. Are you able to understand this? And that is how public swimming pools are disinfected through the process called as shock chlorination. Why shock? In less amount of time more chlorine bleach is added to water than that can be dissolved. You get it? Shock chlorination. So that disinfects the water without any doubt, but chlorine will be deposited on your skin. If you don't take shower after swimming, you will have diseases, dry skin, scaly skin, skin cancer and all. Not immediately, maybe over a period of time. And also smell and taste and acidic nature. But why we are still following chlorination method for disinfection of water? Because it is cheap, very affordable, easy, accessible, but it comes with its own side effects. Now what is safe, accurate, without any side effects or residues? Ozonation. What is ozonation here? So we have this. No residues, no added smell, no added taste and no diseases. Absolutely safe and effective. Ozone also penetrates the membranes of bacteria, membrane and enzymes of bacteria. You know that ozone is oxidative agent and this destabilizes membranes and enzymes and bacteria die. Very effective disinfection by ozonation, but it is expensive, laborious. Yes, please. Any question? Expensive, laborious, you have to bring big machines to produce ozone gas and add that to water. Expensive, laborious, hence we are not following it. Though it is safe, 100% accurate, no residue, no cancer risk, nothing, but still we are not using it because expensive and equipment is required. Chlorination is easy, bring a packet of powder from market, add that powder to water, over, your job is done. Easy, cheap, affordable. Chlorination. Ozonation, experts have to come, they have to bring equipment, and entire process takes time and expensive. So these are methods of disinfection. Clear? So water pollution is done. Next we will be talking about what? The soil pollution. Take a small break and then try to come back. We will talk about the further components of pollution. Once we are done with this, we will move to climate change and biodiversity. Thank you. thickness of font. Okay. Shall I increase it? Okay. Is it okay, ma'am? Yeah, I understand. Shall I increase it further? Yeah. It's okay, ma'am? Yeah. Now, I think we should speak in multiple languages here now. Not a problem. And any issues? Any language issues for you people? No, nothing? Kannada? Hindi? अच्छी बात है. So that would be new here, isn't it? So not a problem. All is okay, great, thanks a lot. So visible, audible, excellent. Both Kannada and English knowledge used, so please. Okay, great. No issues. Excellent, excellent. Audio is coming? Yeah, great. No issue. All is okay. Yeah, excellent. So we'll be continuing our pollution here, the journey of pollution. We were talking about the so-called soil pollution, which includes the concept of plastic pollution, as well as the solid waste, which includes e-waste as well. So these are the aspects which are included under this here. So in general, what do you understand by solid waste? In general, what is soil pollution here? So it is because of either addition or removal of certain substances like physical substances, maybe biodegradable, non-biodegradable physical substances like your food waste, animal waste, or non-biodegradable plastic, glass, metal, or cement, construction rubble, stones, all these things. Chemical substances, acids, alkalis, aldehydes, or chemicals from chemical industries, and biological substances or agents from hospitals, from laboratories, from cremation grounds, and from tannery industries. What is a tannery industry? Animal skin. See, for example, animals die and municipal authorities or some people take those animals and they separate the skin, because skin can be used as raw materials for various products like what? Belt, shoe, wallets, bags, jackets, seat covers in car, bus or bikes, seat covers, leather seat, very valuable, isn't it? And leather hats, caps, and a lot of things are made with leather. Yes or no? So leather industries, they are also called as tanneries because they use a method called as tanning to remove the tissues from the skin and to chemically dry it and color it and cut it and stitch it into various products here. And this tanning process uses lot of toxins, and those toxins are released into the soil. So that is what is. And then hospital waste, hazardous, harmful, infectious causes, that is needles, syringes, scalpel blades, surgical scalpels are very sharp, infectious. Then cotton gauze, bandages, all these are infused with blood, pus and infectious materials, they are discarded into soil. And the microorganisms will remain in the soil for a long period of time. And these, so there will be some people who are called as rag pickers. Who are rag pickers? Who will, for example, poor people, they will be carrying a bag on their back. They will be picking all the plastics and things, and they will put it in the bag and keep going. They are called as rag pickers. Yeah, they are called as rag pickers. And often what do? They pick this hazardous waste, harmful blades, syringes, needles and all. They will cut, they will bleed. They will simply do this, they will do this and go on. That could be very dangerous, and they spread the disease from one person to another person. So soil pollution is the reason for that. Yes, physical, chemical, biological substances in either solid or liquid states, altering natural properties, altering natural property or properties of soil, making it non-productive, soil is made non-productive or harmful for plants or animals including humans. So that kind of condition is called as soil pollution. And what are the sources and what are the causes of soil pollution? Sources and the causes of soil pollution here. So what kind of activities? Very common activities are what? Again we know that the industrial activities, and of course definitely your agricultural activities, and third of course the domestic activities and commercial activities. All these activities act as sources of soil pollution here. So industrial activities release lot of wastes, lot of toxins, lot of harmful chemicals into the soil, in general into the soil here, and these tend to bioaccumulate, and eventually biomagnify over a period of time, entering food chains and becoming toxic to human beings ultimately. And these toxins would permanently alter the properties of the soil. Soils become toxic in nature in general, and wastes, they occupy the space here. And there are certain activities, for example mining activities would completely remove the soil, soil is gone. That area will be with a deep excavation, there is no soil at all, soil is gone. And many industrial activities make the soil less fertile, barren and toxic. So this is because of industrial activities here. And heavy metals and toxins are added by industrial activities. Many metallurgical industries add lot of toxins to the soil in general. Agricultural activities also alter the soil properties permanently, and the nutrient content of the soil is used up, nutrients are used up here, and in general they cause erosion of the soil. What is erosion here? Erosion means what? Removal of topsoil. What is topsoil here? What do you mean by topsoil? Top 25 centimeter layer of soil. Top 25 centimeter layer of the soil is the source of gases, because it is porous in nature. It is called as crumb structure. You must have studied this in geography. Crumb structure of the soil is very, very important. Porous nature of the soil is important for the germination of seeds, sprouting of seeds, growth of root system in plants. And gases are stored in this top soil. Moisture is trapped in this topsoil. Microorganisms are present. Colonies of microbes are present in this topsoil. Minerals, salts are abundantly present in this topsoil. Along with that, with all these things here, we have the living layer of the soil is the topsoil. Living layer, it is called as living layer. Only if this topsoil is intact, only then the seeds would germinate or sprouting, or the plants can develop a root system. in general. So because of topsoil only, life is possible on the soil, and such a soil with intact topsoil which can provide a platform for growth and development of plants and eventually animals is called as what? The intact soil or productive soil. If topsoil is removed, removal of topsoil would cause what? Erosion, and the soil is considered as what? Barren. Soil is soil, but will not help in the growth and development of any life. Plants cannot grow there. If plants cannot grow there, what kind of soil is that? Barren. We say barren. Yes or no? So that is what it is. That is also one type of soil pollution here. Or if soil erosion is caused by many activities, you know that you studied in geography. What are they? For example, wind erosion. Over grazing by cattle exposes top layer of the soil. When wind blows, it will take tiny soil particles away. Along with that, gases are gone, moisture is gone, microbes will die, and nutrients or salts will be displaced, and topsoil becomes barren here, removed. Wind, water, runoff. Runoff will remove and take topsoil with it. So completely the soil will be devoid of the topsoil here. That is also causing erosion here. Wind, water, or we can have a lot of other aspects here. Yes, and then floods. Floods can cause, tsunamis can cause. Yes, and animals can cause all these things, and earthquakes, volcanism, all those can destroy the topsoil here in general. Apart from that, again you know that all these human activities can cause erosion here in general. So that is one aspect of erosion here. And the industrial activities, as we mentioned earlier, the toxins, toxic elements, especially we have had certain things like what? The polychlorinated biphenyls. Yes, they are in the form of what? Some are released in the form of pesticides, some are used in general as the packaging materials, some are used in metallurgical processes. Metallurgical processes are released as wastes, byproducts here. So some are in general used as the solvents, industrial solvents, many of the substances. Some are used in plastic manufacturing, rubber manufacturing, and the wastes, residues are released here. And then oil refining will release lot of toxins because naturally from earth's crust they are being extracted. Yes, so lot of substances, synthetic, benzene, carcinogenic here. And then pesticides, when we say pesticides, we have aldrin, very popular, very kind of toxic aldrin, chlordane, dialdrin, endrin, very popular endrin in India. Why endrin is popular in India? Why endrin is popular in India? Farmers' suicides by consuming endrin. Endrin was only very cheap pesticide used in agricultural activities. Many farmers, because of loans, debts, losses in agricultural activities, they wanted to commit suicide, and the easiest handy option was endrin. Just go and ask for endrin in the shop, pesticide shop, they will give you. It is very cheap, earlier, not now. Yes, and you drink it, you are history. You get it? In Vidarbha, Maharashtra, and Telangana, some parts of Telangana, farmer suicides which were high earlier. You know how they committed suicides? By consuming pesticides. Yes, endrin was such popular one earlier. So heptachlor, toxaphene, Mirex on one hand, then hexachlorobenzene, very toxic, and polychlorinated biphenyls, polychlorinated dibenzo paradioxine, polychlorinated dibenzofurans. These are called as what? Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants. Just remember this line. Stockholm Convention on POPs. What are POPs? Persistent Organic Pollutants. They are highly stable, non-reactive, tend to bioaccumulate, biomagnify. They are also called as forever chemicals. Forever chemicals. Forever means nothing can destroy them. They don't change. Organic pollutants or forever chemicals, also called as dirty dozen. You remember all these things. These are 12 in nature. And it started in 2004. Stockholm Convention on phasing out, gradual banning of persistent organic pollutants. Yes, India is a signatory. But the problem is, you see, DDT had side effects known to humans by 1940, 1950s itself. Across Europe and Americas, it was banned for their side effects, DDT. India, we still use it. Do you know that? Do you think in India we use DDT? We still use? In some parts of the country we still use? Western countries, by realizing its potential adverse impacts or bad effects, harmful effects, they realized them in 1940s, 50s itself, and they gradually phased it out. This is 2026, and in India we did not ban it completely. That is the difference here. And then they keep affecting Indians every day. So dirty dozen, now we have many of such substances which made their way into the list. So in general, so these are some kind of industrial products. Along with that industrial products, we have a lot of chemicals like acids, alkalis. So alkalis, what happens is, acids and alkalis, they permanently change the pH of the soil because certain microorganisms, certain gases, certain nutrients or minerals are they can survive in only certain pH of soil. For example, let me tell you, before first green revolution, Indian soils were predominantly acidic. Now Indian soils are predominantly alkaline. Now if we follow the same principles as we did back then during first green revolution, can we get same results now? One reason is soil pH. You will understand this. And you keep on adding acids and alkalis in varying concentrations to soil. What will happen to soil pH? It changes, and it would affect the fertility of the soil as well, and it will have impacts on the growth and development of plants as well eventually. So that is the reason why. So this is important here. So apart from that, aldehydes, industrial chemicals, these are carcinogenic in nature. For example, aldehydes and these kind of chemicals are used in what? Your nail polish removal, acetone. nail polish remover, lipsticks, they all contain these aldehydes and acetones which are carcinogenic, cancer causing, and they have zero health benefits. I am sorry, I do not use many of these. Do you think nail polish has any health benefits? Do you think? You also do not use nail polish? Okay, not a problem. See, many people use it, it is okay. Yes, do you use? There is nothing wrong. Do you think it has any health benefits? Yes or no? Health benefits. Okay. Remover, okay, fine. Because you applied, you have to remove it. Okay. Lipstick, health benefits? Don't say moisturizes. No. Yes or no? Health benefits? No. On top of it, they are made of chemicals, synthetic, industry made, and they are potentially, yeah. You cannot complain that you are getting some cancers or not, because every day many people, cosmetics they use, lipsticks, nail polish, removers and all those things they use. They are made of industrial chemicals, they are synthetic, they are not natural, they are harmful over a period of time. That is why you see many film actors, they get cancers. Why? You know, movie actors, film actors, why they get? Because they completely use synthetic substances to look good on screen, glamour, otherwise their identity does not exist. And continuously for years together, if you use cosmetics which are synthetic and industry made, cancer is the obvious outcome, and many movie actors and actresses suffer from cancers. Why? Now you know the reason, because that is their livelihood. It is occupational hazard, they are aware of it, and they get lot of money, they can get treatment also. But if normal people want to look like movie actors and apply all these things, and without money, can they afford a treatment? Cancer treatment is very expensive, you know that, very expensive. They can afford it. Can you? Can any normal person? Now who will educate this? Literate people apply all these things. What they need is not few more cosmetics, but little bit of education. Yes or no? So you have to educate this to others. Now if you find an IAS officer with makeup, I don't know what he would say. Probably they did not attend our class, isn't it? Yes or no? Now things are very clear to you. The choice is yours, yes or no? So industrial products. So they are very harmful here. Industrial. Soil, they are discarded into soil. Once they are part of the soil, they cause mutations in soil microbes, mutations. They enter water, or they enter plants, they enter insects, and eventually they make their way into birds and animals. You consume these, humans consume these, or come in contact, or consumption as food. What will happen? They will become part of your body and you will have health issues. Yes or no? So that is how, if it is in the soil, it can enter your body sooner or later, either directly or indirectly. If not, if it rains, underground water, it will reach underground water table. Underground water table, again it can be part of your body immediately, and health issues. These are everyday things. So agricultural, as we said earlier, agricultural activities, they also do a lot of things here. For example, cultivation, lot of fertilizers and pesticides, as we mentioned earlier. Yes, they are added to the soil. So soil profile, soil nutrient profile is altered, and pesticides tend to leach into the soil. They become leachates or leachates, thus polluting groundwater and also soil, agricultural activities in general. And also next is what? The domestic activities. What happens here? Debris, discarded. Yes. So refuse, what are they? Non-biodegradable, non-biodegradable, very important. For example, glass, metal, then ply, treated wood. Treated wood is non-biodegradable, please understand this, because example, this is treated wood. Ply with adhesive gum and anti-termite coating and paint, polish. These will prevent microorganisms to enter the wood. Hence, this wood will not undergo biodegradation. You understand? This is treated wood, ply or treated wood. And then cement, or you see tiles, or construction, demolition, rubble or waste. These are non-biodegradable, please understand this. That means once you put them in a place, they will be there forever and they don't change, and slowly they will release toxins into the soil and into the water, thus causing pollution in general. They occupy space, and the space which is occupied by these materials, they become dead spaces and they become non-productive. Soil is wasted. Domestic activities also produce sewage, and domestic activities also produce solid waste. Now solid waste is one type of waste is this, another one is biodegradable waste. In the PDF I have included solid waste rules 2026. New solid waste rules have been rolled out by the government of India in general, and then that is included in the PDF. Just few lines are there. You can have a look at those rules in general. That is a fact sheet. Biodegradable waste are what? Food waste and paper in general, animal body parts here in general, and then you will have biodegradable waste in the form of what? Clothing. Some type of clothing is non-biodegradable and most of the clothings are biodegradable, cotton and all. Yes, they are degradable here. Yes. So these are biodegradable. They increase the microbial content of the soil, thus they may spread infections and decomposition and infections in general. So these also make the soil polluted here in general. Commercial activities. Yes, as we know, as we mentioned earlier, all the packaged materials, especially plastics. So plastics are numbered. It's called as resin identification number or resin identification code. It is to enable recycling. So how many numbers are there for plastics? Yes, please. 7 different numbers. Plastics come in 7 different numbers. What is first one? Polyethylene tetrathalate. PET bottle. You see many of the beverages, soft drinks, they come in PET bottle. Yes or no? You must have heard about PET bottle. PET. Yes. What is PET? Polyethylene tetrathalate. Phthalates are carcinogenic. Please understand. Phthalates are carcinogenic in nature. Polyethylene tetrathalate. Second is what? Number 2. If number 2 is present, it is made of what? High density polyethylene. All these plumbing pipes are there, water pipes, electrical pipes, water pipes. Yes, they are made of HDPE, high density polyethylene, HDPE. Third one is what? Polyvinyl chloride, plumbing, drinking water, electrical pipes, they are made of, they were once made of PVC, now HDPE pipes are used. For irrigation also, in agricultural fields, you have pipes which supply water, they are made of HDPE, high density polyethylene. So PVC and HDPE are used for irrigation, drinking water, plumbing and all those activities, pipes. Durable again, but polyvinyl chloride. Number 4 talks about what? Low density polyethylene, packaging material, cover, polythenes, thin plastic, low density, cost effective. Yes. So we have this. So next is what? Number 5, polypropylene, packaging material, very popular packaging material, polypropylene. Many objects are packed in PP, polypropylene package. Number 6, polystyrene. Styrene is used in industrial process to make styrofoam. Foam manufacturing, that is fabricating industry. Fabricating industry uses lot of foam. Plaster of Paris uses styrofoam. Thermocol uses styrofoam. Styrofoam cups are used in for waterproofing thing, and even tea and coffee are also consumed in Delhi. If you go to old Rajendra Nagar, where IAS coaching institutes are there, old Rajendra Nagar, there styrofoam cups you will have tea or coffee, but that is toxic. Well, cheap it is, people use it. Yes, styrofoam, fabricating, packaging, insulating, soundproofing. So styrofoam, polystyrene. And number 7 is polycarbonate, very cheap plastic. The roadside bottles, plates will be sold. You see, roadside plastic spoon, disposable plastic cup, plastic plate, plastic bottle, low cost plastic bottle, they are made of polycarbonate, highly toxic in nature. They have bisphenol A, bisphenol A, also called as BPA, very significant and potent carcinogen, cancer causing agent, BPA. In all these plastics we have BPA. If you want to make a plastic without BPA, that would be very expensive. Food grade plastic, you see, microwavable plastic, food grade plastic, they come with BPA free plastic, but still it is a plastic. These are resin identification codes, and these numbers help you understand with which material they are made of and how to recycle them. But essentially they are plastics. So what is so unique about plastics is what? What is so unique and advantageous about plastics? Nowadays no household runs without plastic, no office, no institution, no hospital can run without plastics. Nothing can run without plastics. Hospital, office, industry, household, education, nothing can run without plastic. This will not be present without plastic. This will not be present without plastic. The chair you are sitting on will not be present without plastic. The pen, pencil and everything you are using, they won't be there without plastic, yes or no? So plastic is everywhere in general, every government office, private office, education, research, hospital, household, everywhere, school, college, university, everywhere there is plastic. Now imagine all these places without plastic, can they exist and work in the same way? You will have a different world without plastic. Now why it is so advantageous? Because it is, number 1, durable, flexible, malleable, long shelf life, stable and non-reactive, affordable, accessible, available, unbreakable, attractive. When people go for shopping, they tend to buy at least one plastic product and bring it home every day whenever they go for shopping, yes or no? Because plastics are attractive. Yes, so all these qualities enable plastics very popular. But at the same time, what are the bad things about plastic here? They are toxic, they are non-biodegradable, they are hazardous, they cause choking, strangulation. You see, marine organisms, they get stuck in a plastic net, Chinese plastic net, it is fishing nets. You understand, fish or the turtles, or you can sea turtles or some other organisms, they get stuck in the plastic and they eat plastic, it will be stuck in the throat, they die, choking, strangulation, you see. And you see animals, cattle which eat food on the roadside garbage, and they also eat plastic and they accumulate in the stomach, they die. Yes. So strangulation, choking, hazardous, non-biodegradable, toxic, carcinogenic. Yes. And plastics undergo photodegradation and chemical degradation and turn into microplastics. Microplastics are very easy to find their way into food chain. They were found in human brains also, in children. You can imagine, yes. And they are unstable at high temperature, unstable at high temperature. If temperature is increased, plastics melt, releasing their toxic ingredients into the surroundings. For example, if you have a plastic bottle, try to put hot water into that and imagine, see what will happen to that plastic bottle. It will melt, yes or no? And they become important solid waste. And you see, in almost all areas, wherever you go for tourism, you will have plastic waste. The chips packets, water bottle, you will find them everywhere, in coastal areas, hilltops, you know, river banks. You got any lake or pond or park or amusement park, zoological park, movie theatre, wherever you go, you put all the plastic, chips packet, water bottle, everywhere. Children, chocolate wrappers, chips packet, water bottle, throw them. You leave your footprint, signature like that. Yes. Solid waste in general, and they clog the storm water drains, they block the choking points, like storm water drains, drainages, everything is blocked by these plastics. And if they float on the water body, they prevent the penetration of sunlight and they destroy the water body's health. So we have lot of such adverse, so these are advantages, these are disadvantages. And many people, because of their lifestyle, consumeristic lifestyle, and they are obsessed with plastics. And because of this, what happens is, we have more and more issues with the plastic. So soil accumulates the plastic. You see soil, whenever you dig soil, you will get lot of plastic containers, plastic covers, packaging materials in various layers here. Yes, soil, and slowly plastics would act as leachates and contaminate and pollute soil and groundwater also. So soil pollution is caused by plastics as well. And in general, e-waste, electronic waste is because of not only computers, calculators, music systems, television sets, cameras, phones, tablets, PC, desktop, laptop, printer, all equipment, yes, all equipment, they are considered as part and parcel of electronic waste. And modern methods avoid adverse impacts, but if you follow primitive methods, old methods, primitive methods of collecting, storing or stacking or dismantling dismantling. These are very harmful, hazardous. So what are the adverse impacts of e-waste here? So what are the adverse impacts of e-waste? E-wastes in their manufacturing use lot of heavy metals which are toxic to humans. For example, so we have hexavalent chromium. Hexavalent chromium, very popular, is very harmful and carcinogenic. Chromium, lung cancer, it causes lung cancer. Lead is very popular because motherboards are made of soldering. This soldering uses lead. Soldering, you know, they will attach parts of this motherboard circuits by a heated pen like structure, soldering, and that uses lot of lead. Lead is, you know, carcinogenic and harmful. Lot of mercury is used. Mercury and gold are used. So mercury is harmful, you know that. Mercury is very frequently used in most of the electronic equipment in general. So we have such toxic substances, harmful substances. If not handled, if not disposed properly, if not recycled, they can. Why it is a issue? Because many people non-scientifically dismantle them to extract some gold. In India, e-waste is collected by rag pickers and they will dismantle it hoping to extract some gold. Yes, gold is used, but in very minute quantities. Unless you carry and dismantle large number of e-waste or equipment, you will not get significant amount of gold, but they are ready to take the risk because of their poverty. Now in this endeavor, you are getting exposed to toxins which will have impacts, if not immediately, eventually. But people want immediate tangible benefits. They are ready to face long term consequences. Looks like a salaried employee's life. Okay. You understand this? Long term harmful effects, short term benefits. You get the point here? People are ready to have adverse impacts on a long term basis, provided you get immediate short term gains. That has been the philosophy of life of many people. Immediately benefit is coming, you are happy, but the same will cause losses long term. It's okay, it's okay, live for today, tomorrow who knows, who cares attitude. Immediately they want gold, but after 1 year you will get cancer because of this. Okay, let it be, but today I want gold. That has been the philosophy and lifestyle and preferences and choices of people. Yes or no? Many people, not all, many people. That's been the reason why many people suffer from adverse impacts of the e-waste and non-scientific primitive methods of dismantling of e-waste. This is a risk we have. So e-waste, solid waste and plastics are harmful here. And then we have the Environmental Protection Act coupled with the solid waste. Solid waste which includes, please understand this, plastic waste, e-waste rules 2026, latest one. So these two are associated with managing the soil pollution and solid waste management. You understand this? Municipal solid waste largely, yes. So these are the things. Next one thing which is a previous question associated with soil pollution is something called as the mechanism of managing soil pollution in the form of landfill. So we have conventional landfill, sanitary landfill. We had a question on this, sanitary landfill. So compacting the collected solid waste, digging a trench or pit in the ground and placing this compacted collected solid waste in this. Solid waste is collected from urban, industrial, agricultural, residential, domestic areas. It is compacted and is buried in a pit or a trench dug in the ground and is covered with a layer of soil, and forget about it. You can construct a road on it, you can construct a railway platform, you can construct a park on it, you can do anything on the surface, but underneath you have solid waste buried. This method of disposal of solid waste is called as landfill method. You understand this? What are the advantages of this method? Advantage is what? You can fill the pits in the ground using solid waste, and you can cover it with dug soil, and you can make solid waste disappear easily, is cost effective in nature in general, and you can fill the empty mines, mines where mineral has been extracted, they are empty, vacant. How do you fill them? Fill them with solid waste and cover them with whatever garbage, rubble, soil you have left. It's easy method of disposing solid waste, easy, ready-made method, and solid waste would disappear from your vicinities. This is advantageous. Then what is the disadvantage? If it rains, the toxic substances, harmful substances present in this landfill may leach, act as leachates, and underground or groundwater table is there. Groundwater is polluted or contaminated because of toxins or harmful substances present in this landfill, and surrounding soil also will be contaminated because of toxins present in this landfill. That cannot be prevented. You will understand this? This risk is there. Then improvised method of disposing solid waste was discovered. What is that? Sanitary landfill. What is sanitary landfill method? It is, first you dig a pit, or if there is an empty space in the soil already, because of some other reason we have a pit or a trench present in the soil. What do? You cover the bottom on sides with impermeable material. What is impermeable material? Maybe cement, concrete, maybe thick sheet of plasticized rubber. Plasticized rubber means a composite material. Upon heating rubber and plastic, they will form together a single piece, which is impermeable to water. It does not allow water inside or through it. Plasticized rubber sheet. So that is placed here as a bottom layer covering sides and bottom, and into that you dump your collected and compacted solid waste. Yes, irrespective of the content of this solid waste, whether it is hazardous or harmful does not matter, and cover it with a layer of soil, and whether it rains or not, nothing is allowed outside, nothing reaches down, nothing percolates down, nothing reaches outside this sanitary landfill. It is sealed off permanently. You can construct anything on top of it, road, park, hospital, railway platform, whatever you want you can construct, not any residential structure, because it is not strong enough to hold an apartment or a commercial building for long period of time. But temporary, yes, walking track, yes, railway platform, yes, road, yes, it can withstand. So this is one more method of sanitary landfill, disposing solid waste here in general. But apart from that, you have something called as segregation of waste is very important. That is, you know that we also do it in Bangalore, yes or no? Separation of dry waste, wet waste, and recyclable waste, So we have to increase awareness among people to segregate and separate, and we should give incentives to people. If they bring some product, instead of discarding it, which can be recycled, they should get some discount coupon. In Scandinavian countries in Europe, they have every shopping mall, every shop has a discount coupon given. If you bring any recyclable material like a aluminum can, plastic bottle, anything you bring which can be recycled, you will get discount coupon worth of something based on whatever you give. That discount coupon can be redeemed immediately if you buy some products from the shop. Immediately you will get discount. That is a tangible return, isn't it? And many people are, while coming from home, if they find a plastic bottle on the road, they will pick it up. People are coming for shopping, they are picking the plastic bottles on the way and they are giving it in the shop, they are getting discount coupons, they are buying something, discount applied, they get the product, they feel happy. And if all people do this, you will not have any solid waste left on the road, I am telling you. People by themselves will clean the city, yes or no? Look how now their streets in Scandinavia, streets are clean, devoid of plastic and aluminum cans. Don't you think it is a reasonable method? People don't wait for government to come and clean the roads. But in India, people expect everything to be done by government. Because you vote once in 5 years and for the rest of the 5 years, government should do everything for you. That's been the model, isn't it? Yes, because that's what politicians promise. Just vote for me, I will do everything for you. Isn't it? What is happening now? Is that viable, sustainable method? Welcome to India. Yes. So these are some methods of managing this. Yes. We're done with this pollution kind of stuff here, and then we'll move on to the concepts of climate change. As we said, fundamental concept. What is fundamental concept here? That is the concept of greenhouse effect. Fundamental concept, as we mentioned earlier, there are certain gases which behave like a glass in a greenhouse. What is a greenhouse? A glass house constructed for cultivation of plants in cold countries. That's a model. In cold countries, intensity of sunlight is not enough to generate heat and thus to increase crop yields or growth and development. Hence they construct glass houses. Glass has a property of what? Glass acts transparent to a short wavelength. Electromagnetic radiations like ultraviolet and opaque to long wavelength electromagnetic radiation. Let me simplify here. Let me simplify. So, once we understand this electromagnetic spectrum, as we mentioned earlier, electromagnetic spectrum, hope you are aware of this. So, we have three components in electromagnetic spectrum. Yes. So, on the left side you have invisible non-ionizing radiations. In the middle we have visible spectrum. On the right side you have invisible but ionizing radiation. So, from left to right if you move, wavelength decreases. Wavelength decreases. Wavelength, decreasing wavelength. But from left to right if you move, frequency and intensity would increase. Frequency and intensity would increase. Yes. Wavelength denotes the distance a radiation can travel transferring energy. Yes. Wavelength, higher, longer the wavelength, longer would the waveform can travel transferring energy or information. Shorter wavelength means it can travel for shorter distances transferring energy. Frequency and intensity, they denote the amount of energy it can transfer. Higher the frequency, higher the intensity, more energetic would be the radiation. More damage it can cause if you are exposed to it. You will understand this? So, getting back here, invisible non-ionizing, starting with radio waves, microwaves and infrared. Remember this. Next we have visible spectrum. You know this. What is that? Visible. Visible depends on albedo. What is albedo? Yes, please. What is albedo effect? Reflection. Albedo means property of objects to reflect some or all or none of the incident energy. You will understand this. That means simplified, color of the object is color reflected by the object, not the color absorbed by the object. For example, if an object appears green, you call that as green object. That means green light is reflected by the object and the energy associated with all other colors is absorbed. You will understand this. For example, snow reflects all the incident energy, hence it appears bright, or we call it as white. Coal appears dark because it does not reflect any of the incident energy. It appears black or dark. Neither white is a color nor black is a color. Rather, white is a mixture of all colors, black is absence of any color. So, next time somebody asks you what's your favorite color, it should not be either white or black. Yes and no. Neither white is a color nor black. Then violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Visible, non-ionizing. Next comes invisible ionizing. What is that? Some parts of ultraviolet. Next you have X-ray, then you have alpha, beta, and we have photon. Gamma is not directly included, but we can assume theoretically. Yes. So when we say decreasing wavelength, we say glass allows short wavelength electromagnetic radiations. These are short wavelength electromagnetic radiations, relatively speaking. Largely this, and doesn't allow long wavelength electromagnetic radiations, preferably this. This is heat radiation, or we call it as terrestrial radiation, and this we call it as what? Light radiation. So, glass allows ultraviolet, blocks heat. You understand this? Now, the greenhouse, the glass house, which grows green plants. So, what happens in this glass house here? Light enters and you have plants here, and this light is absorbed by the plant and heat is released by the plant. Heat travels in the form of terrestrial radiation or long wavelength electromagnetic radiation. Glass doesn't allow this the terrestrial radiation or long wavelength electromagnetic radiation to escape. It is not transparent to it. Hence, heat radiation accumulate within glass house. If heat radiation accumulate within glass house, temperature within glass house increases, thus supporting growth of plants. Plants grow better in warm environments. You see, near the equator we have densest forests in the world. Yes and no. Equatorial rainforests, Amazonian rainforests, they are near the equator because it is warm. Move towards the poles, vegetation becomes scarcer, less dense. Yes or no? Because temperature falls. High temperature favors plant growth. You understand this? Yes. So, plants need warmth for growth. In colder countries, there is cold outside, but inside the glass house, it is warm based on this glass house or greenhouse effect. Similar principle is applied to the troposphere. Troposphere. Troposphere is like our glass house roof, and near the troposphere gases are accumulated which behave like glass. Gases are accumulated which behave like glass. Example, carbon dioxide. So, these gases allow the light, and objects on the earth absorb the light and release heat. Terrestrial radiation, long wavelength electromagnetic radiation. But these gases do not allow the heat to escape, hence heat waves reflected back within the troposphere, thus accumulate within troposphere, thus increase the temperature within troposphere, thus act as greenhouse effect. Hence carbon dioxide and similar gases are called as greenhouse gases, and thus because of the greenhouse gases, what is happening within troposphere? Temperature, average surface temperature is increasing. 2024 summer was the hottest summer on the earth till date. Year 2024 was there, that year summer was the hottest summer ever known to mankind. 2024 is the latest year, 2024 summer. You can have a website and lot of sources. Down to Earth is the website, yes, in that it is mentioned, and Ministry of Environment and Forests also mentioned this in PIB newsletter. 2024 year summer, 2016 maybe, but the latest one is until 2026 summer concludes. Maybe this Bangalore, this summer is very hot, isn't it? Who knows, after 2 or 3 months you will get the news that 2026 summer was the hottest summer. It may be, because it is indeed hot. Hyderabad is scorching. You know, temperature, last week temperature in Hyderabad 44. You know, Bangalore temperature 37. Yesterday it was 37 and it was pretty hot. Today I am not sure yet. You understand this? 2024 summer was the hottest summer ever experienced by humans on the earth. What does that mean? Every year, every decade is becoming warmer than the previous one. So that means what? What we are looking at is indeed true. Average surface temperatures are increasing, and that is attributed to none other than greenhouse effect. And the gases responsible for such an effect are called as greenhouse gases. And one very popular greenhouse gas is carbon dioxide. This concept is the core concept to understand global warming and eventually climate change. Now we are done with this. Now what is climate change? We know that what is climate? Long term average weather pattern or patterns which are consistent or in general common to a region. Usually we denote those regions with latitudes, climate lines. Latitudes are also called as what? Imaginary climate lines, connecting all regions with similar climate. Latitudes, latitudes. Yes, climate. What is climate? A long term average. How much time is long term? Approximately 35 years average. Weather is what? Everyday change, every minute change, frequent changes. Now average and weather of what? Regarding which parameters? Which parameters? We have temperature, easily measurable, quantifiable, precipitation, rainfall, daily, weekly, monthly, annual, average precipitation, and then apart from that, altitude, which is more or less fixed here, pressure, mean sea level or the humidity, relative humidity, distance from sea or mean sea level, altitude, elevation from mean sea level, atmospheric pressure, water vapor percentage or relative humidity. All these factors would contribute, but largely temperature, precipitation. Usually temperature is taken because it is easily measurable, quantifiable, and we can record it easily in any area in general. So these would denote the weather patterns, and eventually 35 or long term average can be easily derived, and this can be used to compare regions regarding climate, and climate usually remains a constant concern with the regions. Hence world can be understood using climate zones. Agroclimatic regions, you must have studied in geography, agroclimatic regions of the earth in general. But now the question is not just about climate, but climate is changing. Climate does change naturally also. Naturally also climate changes. Why? Please remember, the world experienced glaciation periods, ice ages we call, ice ages, and in between ice ages interglacial periods, which are warm ages, and definitely the world and various regions move or shift or change in their climate from cool to warm, warm to cool. It is a cyclical process, it is natural. Maybe we are in the warming up phase of the earth, and eventually what comes next is cooling down. Natural, people say, yes, natural. Change is natural, and it is influenced by events which are in general local and also global, which are natural. For example, seasonal, because of volcanism, because of ocean currents, because of rotation and revolution of the earth, because of natural vegetation and disasters, natural disasters. Climate keeps changing slightly from one time to another, from one region to another. Okay, so this is understood. But the problem is accelerated in the past 250 years. Temperatures have increased faster than ever in the past. This is called as accelerated, also called as human induced, and this is labeled as what? Accelerated climate change. It is because of human activities. That is what we believe in. That is what we believe in, and it is largely attributed to certain causes. Please remember that climate change is one aspect which clearly indicates a negative feedback mechanism. What is negative feedback mechanism here? In general, cause becomes consequence, and consequence further becomes the cause. So it is a perpetual cycle. Cause becomes consequence, and further consequence becomes the cause. It is a perpetual cycle, never ending cycle. You will understand this. It is like a poverty unemployment cycle. You must have studied about this earlier. Yes or no? Poverty is a reason for unemployment, and unemployment becomes a reason for further poverty, and it is perpetual cycle. One becomes the cause, another becomes consequence, and consequence becomes the cause for the next consequence, and that repeats continuously. Likewise, this cause consequence of climate change here. Causes in general, what are the causes here? Number one is what? Greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect and increased emission of greenhouse gases. We will see what those greenhouse gases are. According to United Nations Environment Program, UNEP is the name of the office of United Nations which is concerned with the climate change, which was opened on June 5th in Nairobi, Kenya in 1972. Yes, 1972 what happened? First ever Stockholm conference occurred regarding United Nations conference on the human environment. First ever conference, because pollution was increasing at that time. Yes, and then 1992 what happened? United Nations conference on environment and development, sustainable development was added, which is called as Rio Earth Summit. 1992, but this is 1972, Stockholm. Yes. So, this was started on 5th June and headquarter is at Nairobi, Kenya. So, 5th June is still commemorated as World Environment Day. Why? Because this office was opened on that day in 1972. Now, this UNEP labels certain substances as greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen oxide, nitrous, greenhouse gases. Along with that, we have chlorofluorocarbons, which are like hydrofluorocarbons, yes, perfluorocarbons, parafluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride. Yes. So, these are the greenhouse gases according to UNEP for all the practical purposes. We will talk about them later. So, emissions of greenhouse gases: uncontrolled fossil fuel combustion, deforestation, in general. So, major causes here. So, these are major causes, and minor causes are, again you know that, the industrialization, urbanization, minor causes, urbanization, environment degradation in the form of pollution, degradation in the form of increasing pollution, global warming, which is part and parcel of greenhouse effect, but still urban heat island effect and all these things here. Yes. So, these things, apart from that, these things will have some minor issues like a specific kind of activities like increase in temperature of oceans and all these things here. Yes. So, these are major causes for the so called accelerated climate change in general. Now, what are the consequences of climate change? First is what? Global warming. That means rising global temperatures, and because of which, what is happening here? Glacial retreat. That means melting of glaciers. The glacial retreat would depletion of freshwater reserves, flooding of perennial rivers, and this eventually causes a rise in mean sea level. 5 millimeters per annum is the average rise in mean sea level as of now for the past 25 years. Rise in mean sea level. This increases the monsoons, especially in India, or seasonal variations, irregular, unpredictable, erratic monsoon, unpredictable, and more frequent phenomena like El Nino, which affect global climate or global distribution of moisture and temperature. And this also would cause minor consequences like what? The coral bleaching, death of corals in the ocean, loss of biodiversity, which is one of the triple planetary crisis events, loss of biodiversity here and in general, and then death of or loss of plants, and food crisis, and climate refugee crisis. This will increase conflicts and all. So, we have lot of consequences. Of course, some other consequences can be in the form of what? Acid rain, acid rains, ocean thermal expansion, ocean thermal expansion. We have lot of such impacts in general here. So, we have such consequences here in general. Now, what can we do about it? Is there any solution? Is there any international efforts or organizations, international organizations and their efforts? So, it all started in 1969 when one European informal association of industrial elite people, rich people, industrialists, they came together, they formed one association, informal, called as Club of Rome. They conducted research globally and they brought in a publication, research publication. The publication was named as Limits to Growth. In that, a warning was given to all people, to the world, that if the same rate of consumption of natural resources continues, same rate means 1970 rate, if the same rate of consumption of natural resources continues, the limit to human growth, growth means industrial growth, development, urbanization, profits and all, limits to growth will be achieved in the next 100 years, beyond which no growth is possible. No growth is possible means limits to growth. That was the title of the publication, an essential bottom line of the publication. Next 100 years you will hit a plateau, beyond which no growth will happen, because we will be completely exhausted of our resources. Natural resources will be exhausted and you will not have any raw material supply to the industries. Hence no growth, no economic growth, no industrial growth, no human growth possible in the next after 100 years. But now we have exceeded the speed or pace or rate of consumption of resources when compared with 1970s. That means the limits to growth would be achieved less than 100 years. The limits to growth is very near if we continue same methods. This book created some panic among many countries, and immediately 1972 the United Nations called all countries for a conference, UN conference on human environment, and discussed about pollution and changes occurring to environment, especially degradation, environmental degradation. At that time the climate change was not an issue, it was not discussed much significantly. But pollution and environmental degradation was of concern, and this UN opened an office separately to deal with environment. Hence United Nations Environment Program, not climate change, Environment Program office was opened. And from then onwards continuously UNEP has been monitoring degradation of the environment globally. And by 1988 UNEP came up with the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Now that is when some official climate change thing got established. IPCC got established in 1988. This is a coordination body between countries to formulate policies, to bring about actionable information and share it with all people so that they can take action. IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel, between governments, some coordinating body, share the details and let them know best practices globally and mitigate climate change. Until 1988 climate change was not very popular, IPCC. Okay. Meanwhile in 1983 what happened? United Nations called a lady, Gro Harlem. Who is the lady? Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway and the former Director General of World Health Organization, Lady Gro Harlem Brundtland. 1983 United Nations appointed her as the chairperson of Sustainable Development Commission, simply known as Brundtland Commission. and she submitted the report in 1987, and the title of her report was what? Yes, Our Common Future. Our Common Future is the title of Brundtland Commission report submitted by Gro Harlem Brundtland in 1987 to United Nations. And in that publication, in that report, she gave the first ever comprehensive definition of what is sustainable development. What is sustainable development? The development which meets the needs of present generation without compromising the needs of or the future generations to fulfill their needs. So that was the official definition of sustainable development, and that is why this report finds its place in 1992 Rio Earth Summit, and the 1992 Rio Earth Summit was named as what? United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. You can see that here. Okay, sorry, we went in reverse manner. Okay. United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, 1992. First ever. Why it is called as Earth Summit? Many countries representing entire Earth, they were present here. So almost all Earth got represented here. Hence, Earth Summit. Summit is just a meeting. Yes. So that was the idea here. Okay, we'll get back here. So 1992. From 1992 onwards, it was decided that they will meet in the form of conference of parties regularly. And the most recent conference of party, you know that, COP 30, conference of party 30, COP 30, Amazonia in Brazil, Amazonia. So this is what happened here in general. So November 2025, this is what is the latest one in a place called as Belém, Brazil. It did not come up with any actionable, tangible outcomes. You will understand this. It is not very important for you. What is important is Kyoto Protocol, and why Paris Agreement did not become the successor to Kyoto Protocol. That is very important. Previous question, last year's question it is. Yes, we will talk about that. So this is a backdrop of the Rio Earth Summit. Why it is called as backdrop? Because in 1992, for the first time, we have a legally binding outcome called as United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, and outcome of that is a Kyoto Protocol. That is what you need to know. It is important for the exam. Break time, is it? Lunch break? Okay. So we will try to talk about this Rio Earth Summit, Framework Convention on Climate Change, Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, and then we will move to biodiversity. And day for yesterday is 22nd April's 99th Ramsar wetland. Till then we have to discuss about biodiversity. Once we are done with that, we will move to science and technology. Done with it? Yes. Now we will go for lunch break. For all online people, just for the sake of it. Done? Thank you. I will see you after the break. Thank you.